Hello, ladies. I'd like to introduce you to Lucy Feicht, who is a realtor and broker extraordinaire, truly, hailing from St. Louis. Lucy is not only an outrageously successful woman in real estate, both as a broker and as an agent, but she does her work with lots of fun. And before the call, I was studying her social media. And it was so neat to see her Instagram in particular. You guys got to check out these outrageously successful women. Find them online and find where they are, because we learn from them and how they do things. And Lucy's going to share with us her whole approach to real estate and her business, and how she has just busted up real estate in St. Louis and has become the powerhouse to be reckoned with. It's really just totally awesome. And to her credit, most recently, Lucy was ranked #2 of the top 20 real estate agents in St. Louis. So I'm sure that is no small feat. So she's going to share with us how she attained that status. And recognized for her dedication and commitment, Lucy was named to Realtor Magazine's prestigious 30 Under 30 in 2017. And she's going to share with us what it took to get there, and how it's changed her and how it's impacted her, not only in her business life, but also in her personal life. And what she's been able to accomplish in the last 4 years is truly nothing short of amazing. And so I'm going to brag her up, because I'm sure Lucy won't brag herself up. So I'll brag her up just so you're aware of what she's done. For example, last year, as I mentioned, Lucy is a broker of her own company, Lou Realty Group in St. Louis, and they closed over 24 million in sales with just under 140 transactions. And that is with Lucy and her team of 7 incredible women. And hey, guys are great and all. I have 3 sons and a wonderful husband, but I love, love, love to see a group of ladies really just tearing it up out there like Lucy is doing. And as I mentioned, her and her team are greatly impacting St. Louis. Their marketing and advertising is unique. Fun is a part of everything they do. Lucy's going to share with us how she aggressively built her brand around the name of her hometown that she loves. And it's also kind of a play on her own name. So I could go on and on and on, but one thing I want to mention, you may have seen a recent post in Girls Guide that Lucy has volunteered to serve with Jan and I on our advisory board for our company, LivyGirl Success Boutique. She very much embraces the concept of women empowering women, and she loves to encourage other women. And that is why she is serving in that capacity, and that is why she's here. So without further ado, hey, Lucy, thanks so much for being here.
Hi, Judy. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I've been slowly and patiently, even sometimes, excited for you guys to do your full launch. So that sounds like that has implemented itself, and you guys are gonna for sure experience a lot of success.
Thank you. Thanks, Lucy. I really appreciate that. Well, listen, as we talked about before we actually went live just now, so to speak, I've never been to St. Louis. I imagine there are many here either listening live or will be on the recording that aren't familiar with St. Louis. So could you just tell us a little bit about your hometown?
Yeah, so I know every time people are like, I've never been there, I'm like, you are missing out. But St. Louis is, like I mentioned before, it's St. Louis is my home base. It's where I was born and raised, and certainly never leaving. So I think the biggest thing for St. Louisans, for sure, you would say, like, if you don't enjoy the weather, just wait 5 minutes because it'll change.
Oh wow, really? Huh.
Yeah. So like right now we're experiencing, I think, like 22 degrees, 36 right now. So when I woke up, it was 21. It's 36 degrees right now. And then we're supposed to have 60-degree weather on like Thursday, and then like freezing rain on Sunday. So it is constantly changing. We definitely have a true 4 seasons. You probably, if you've never been to St. Louis, you might like familiarize yourself with the Arch, the gateway to the west.
Yep.
So we have within just like a 10-mile radius, we have downtown, we have suburbs, we have small communities, we have very small neighborhoods. I think we have like 92 municipalities in just St. Louis County. So that I think is a little bit different for a lot of people that I collaborate with different cities. We have like governing bodies within governing bodies and jurisdictions and whatnot. So we specialize at LivyGirl Group. We're all pretty much homegrown here, all born and raised, all feel the same passionate way about St. Louis. But we kind of like, we live, we work, we play, we entertain in the neighborhoods that we're selling. So my office is actually located in South City. So within South City, you've got so many different neighborhoods and communities to be a part of. South County is what we call it, or St. Louis County. We primarily, I serve really well in the South County kind of neighborhoods. So from when I speak to like in terms of neighborhoods that I either am in or I farm in or whatnot, will be like South City, South County. So if you hear me mention those are two different areas. But so St. Louis in itself is very unique in that you can travel to quite a few different areas and just get a different vibe, whether it's restaurants and entertainment, whether it's parks and recreation, school districts, things of that nature. St. Louis is really a melting pot for all of that. And I think probably what makes it so exciting to be here.
Okay, excellent. Well, that's great. I definitely have to stop by in the not too distant future.
Oh, for sure.
I would love to do that. Well, we would love to hear your story about how you came to real estate. You know,
Sure.
how you came to decide to become an agent and then ultimately a broker.
Yeah. So, and I think too, it's like easy to like in our day and age too, there's so many different ways to be selling real estate individually, on a team. There's so many ways to get involved. So I have always been an individual agent, and I still am. So I'm a working broker. I am hitting the streets like all of the other agents here at LivyGirl Group. So when I got into the business I graduated my undergrad from the University of Missouri St. Louis in 2011, and I was licensed 3 months later. So in March, I was licensed as a salesperson. So when I entered into real estate, I knew what my kind of clear path was. I knew I definitely wanted to open my own brokerage, and I was just basically on a route of how quickly I could get there. So in the state of Missouri, I think I mentioned it might be similar in most people's, is that you have to be licensed for 2 years as a salesperson and then following that as a brokerage. So prior to that, though, that's a little bit of a change. Before that, when I became a salesperson, you could either have 2 years of experience or a certain amount of volume. So when I got my license, I actually had wrote a letter to the MREC requesting that I felt I had enough knowledge. So my undergrad had an emphasis in both finance and marketing, but I had taken a few specialized courses in real estate.
Use it all the time.
Sorry,
I've already seen a lot for you. Sorry, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Somebody had unmuted themselves. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Guys, please just make sure you're muted so that we have a clear line for Lucy. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, hon. Sorry.
Yeah. So when I got into salesperson, I had wrote that letter to the MREC. When I say MREC, I'm sorry, it's not the same for everybody. That's the Missouri Real Estate Commission.
Okay.
So I had requested that I felt like I had enough kind of knowledge and education to be able to sit for the exam one time. So if you don't, prior to sitting for the exam, you'd take a 48-hour course, take your exam, and then take a 24-hour course, and then apply for your license. So when I became a salesperson, I did a little bit different course of action. I'd gotten that one grant to sit for the exam. I ended up passing it, took the 24-hour course, and then was quickly licensed thereafter. So I was 22. Just turned 22 when I got licensed. And I was kind of like, nobody I know is buying property right now. And no one has property to sell, that I knew in my direct sphere. So for about 6 months, I had just learned as much as I could about real estate, anything I could go to, seminars, free or paid, being a part of transactions maybe that were a part of my office, anything that I could do, I try to put my hands on. So I closed my first transaction in August of that year, which felt like so long.
So what was that? So that was March to August then?
Yeah, so that was
May, June, July, 5 months. Okay.
Yeah. So I closed my first sale, and it was a foreclosure, and it was $99,000. And I remember the agent saying to me jokingly, is this your first transaction? Because I was like helping him with things I think on his side that I wasn't supposed to, but I was like, yeah, I'm so glad you said something. It is. And now I'm like, I will never ever say that to somebody, ask them if it was their first transaction. But it was funny because from there, I felt like I had the first one under my belt, and I'm like, I did it, with my mom's assistance as well. She's also licensed, which I'm sure we'll touch on. But I thought to myself, like, I don't know how I'm going to get the hang of this. There was just so much a part of a transaction. And I tend to be very hands-on with my clients. So from like the first transaction to transacting now, I do a lot with my clients in that nature. So the transaction itself already felt involved to me. But how I wanted to treat my clients was also a task in itself. So from there, I think, after the next one, from now, I feel like I can write contracts in my sleep. I feel like negotiations is always, I can reference something that I've been through before. So every year I've been able to double my business and my volume, and I hope to continue that. But just this will, in April of this year will be celebrating my 6-year anniversary. So
that's great. That's great. Yeah. Congratulations. Well, let me ask you now. You mentioned negotiations, and that was not on my list of questions, but I think that it's a question that a lot of agents, whether you've been doing this for a while or not, can be a little difficult. I'm curious, do you have any tips, anything that works, even like scripts, conversations? How do you deal with, an agent who could be, how about we start here? How do you deal with an agent on the other side who's more than a little bit difficult? And they don't get that this is a collaborative type negotiation at times,
Yeah, absolutely. So two things that I think kind of I've always concentrated on and would give my best advice to people is that you should always be working amicably. You guys are all in it for the same reason. Everybody wants your client to either purchase or sell something. It does everyone a disservice to not work well together, really. And I think that no one's ever too old to learn, right? So at any point in time that I'm dealing with either maybe a tough negotiator on the other end, or maybe something that we just aren't maybe vibing with the way that we do business, that's okay. That is not certainly something to be distracted from, and you can learn something from them. So I always really try to maintain having a positive relationship with the people, whether they're clients or agents that I'm working with, and maintain that positively through to the end. I hear of a lot of stories and, have helped with some transactions that aren't going, the best that they can. And I think by nature, realtors are very independent people. They're very strong-headed, maybe hard-headed at sometimes. So sometimes it takes them a little bit of time to just kind of get off, maybe a high horse and just say that, we're all into this together. But then I think I got a lot definitely from my mom. She is a passionate person about real estate and about being ethically, so that doing the right thing will always trump anything else. So that has been instilled in me, and I hope that people that I work with, other agents that are at the brokerage, also feel that same sense of acting ethically in that sense. So I can't tell you, I haven't had too many terrible times with people on the other end. But I think that kind of ties into something else that I think is very important to kind of recognize, and something that I focus on, maybe even arguably more than like a marketing and advertising. So when you think about a transaction and real estate in general as a whole, 25% of that is really marketing, advertising, getting the home sold, or getting the buyer under contract. 75% of that is the contract itself, negotiating, transaction management, managing other people, contractors, etc. That is what I want to perfect, is what I have strived to perfect. I think you can constantly grow in the sense of, how to best market your listings and how to best advertise yourself and things of that nature. But if you lack in that rest of the 75%, you'll see your business affected by it. And that in itself is the art. I think a lot of people can confuse, I've heard more than once real estate agents being referenced as used car salesmen, and that pains me.
That hurts my ears.
It hurts my ears, and it also said, it makes me think like this mentality of a real estate agent or a real estate professional, I equip to the same thing as if I go, if I'm going to the doctor's office or the dentist, I'm not telling them how to do their job, and we are professionals, and I think we have to uphold that standard. Is that most, and I'm sure everybody can relate here. People might say, I'm just going to do it myself. I'm just going to sell my home myself, or I'm just going to, purchase a property myself. Well, what the service that we warrant should be just no money could buy it, is that, the what I can offer you. And I think, quite frankly, that is the 75% of the transaction, is that negotiations have to be done correctly. The management of the transaction itself is so important that what I can do for you is going to not only save you the money, that my commissions may bear, but will far exceed it too.
Right. With the no stress, Jan and I always say, look, it can be a stressful situation. Moving, I think, is one of the top 3 things before death and divorce and marriage or something is right up there. And so why put the stress on yourself? Put the stress on me, and so you can enjoy the process as much as possible. So that's excellent. Well, let's go to branding, because I know Lou Realty Group is a name that, is well known in St. Louis. And as I look at what you've done online, and what I've seen you done through pictures on Instagram, you just really have a neat thing going. So could you kind of explain how you came up with the name and what you are doing to get your name out there?
Yeah, sure. So Lou Realty Group stems from a number of different sources. Most importantly, if St. Louis is something that we're getting accustomed to now, we call ourselves the Lou a lot. It's mentioned quite a bit. I've heard once that it's in a different maybe country, people refer to the Lou as a toilet. Certainly not what we're referring to. When we say welcome to the Lou, that's like a very important thing for us. Welcoming everybody to our city, that really, quite frankly, everybody's excited about that live here. And so St. Louis, we've even have, so one of our major breweries, Anheuser-Busch, so Bud Light, Bud Select, Budweiser. So they definitely originated here. They've since stemmed to different cities and countries and whatnot. But we have a beer that apparently not a lot of other people drink called Bud Select. And that is all of their marketing is brewed for the Lou. Yeah, it's kind of fun because my husband and I went out to the West Coast just about a year ago to celebrate our anniversary. And we both were like, we'll take a Bud Select. And they're like, we don't have Bud Select. What is that? But all of our marketing here is brewed for the Lou. So Lou comes from St. Louis, first and foremost. From there, so I mentioned the street where our office is located is Loughborough. Okay. And my entire being originates off Loughborough. The first 3 letters just happen to be LOU. So my mom grew up on Loughborough. I grew up just about less than a quarter mile from Loughborough. We ended up buying our office on Loughborough. So LOU becomes from St. Louis, from Loughborough. And then lastly, my name is Lucy. So my family and my friends refer to me as Lou. So when I was kind of thinking of a name for the brokerage, my mentality was that I too am working for a brokerage. I'm working for Lou Realty Group. So I wanted something to identify that everybody could identify with. St. Louis in itself, I think that when people we've had a few people that just innately Google, St. Louis Realtors or the Lou Realtors or whatnot. So we populate easily on that. And Lou, I think especially, so I met just recently being named 30 under 30, a friend of mine that is also 30 under 30 in Nashville. Her name's Jessica. And her family refers to her as Lou and Lou. So she said, if you ever want to open a Nashville real estate office, this will be great.
Lou, I love it.
It was fun. But yeah, so that in a nutshell is kind of where Lou Realty Group came from.
Okay, awesome. Well, you also mentioned to me that your ladies, you like to think of your brokerage as small and mighty, and you're all about quality instead of quantity. But obviously, as you just mentioned, you're doubling your production year after year. So can you speak to that about where your priorities are with respect to the brokerage and how you're building the business?
Sure. So I think actually earlier it was funny because I have the question of when I talk about Lou Realty Group, and I think that also kind of resonates with Livy Bryn is that we right now are a team of women, so we definitely all empower each other. And when we speak of team as we are all a team. We don't work on teams together, but we are actually the Lou Realty Group we're all very close. And we all happen to be a group of women. And I think you mentioned 7, and there is now 12 of us. So that's very exciting.
Okay. Wow. Sorry about that.
No. Don't apologize, because like I said, like just maybe 6 months ago that we were talking about it, we might have been right around there or close to. So when we say, quality versus quantity, it not just means because we're a smaller brokerage, but when we focus on our clients, it is so important for us to be focusing on the quality of the service that we provide. We're not pushing out there, we're just providing quantity of services, but we really, each and every one of our clients, all of the agents here, we work as a partnership with our clients. So they are really understanding every step of the way about the transaction, the place that they're in. They have to understand pricing, they have to understand negotiations. So the partnership that we take on with our clients is very important to us. And in that being said too, so a lot of our industry as well have a team mechanism. And as I mentioned before, we are really focusing on our back end. So how we can perfect our systems from when we take a buyer through a transaction or through a seller. And I think for me, what has been the most important thing within the last probably 12 months has been perfecting systems, making sure that we're not recreating wheels that have already been done, whether that's through scripts, whether that's through letterheads and different marketing material, things of that nature. We want to be a very well-oiled machine, in that sense, because if we've perfected our systems, we can produce more efficiently, whether that's at a volume level, whether that is with just our client transactions, whatever it may be. We feel that one person could potentially produce what a team of 5 could, because our systems are that important to us.
Okay, excellent. Let me ask you about social media, because social media is a hot topic, as I'm sure you know. And our ladies, I would say Facebook and Facebook ads in particular, and landing pages and a close, third on that. So can you tell us what Lou Realty Group is doing in the way of social media generally? And then if you could focus on Facebook.
Sure. So social media is kind of second nature to us. We spend so much time and energy focused into our social media. It's how we are connecting with a lot of our clients. For me, specifically, I am 27. So social media comes as second nature to me. Whereas, for instance, my mom, she's kind of like, now the gram, what is Instagram? How do I do, it's funny how that happens, because for me, it's just second nature, and I'm sure that I'm going to develop into something that I don't know what it is, sooner rather than later. But so for social media for us, it's important for us to, again, have it as second nature. So that really what we, our language that we have on social media transpires into our listings, into our website, into really everything that we do. So it more or less matches all of that, if you will. So for us, social media is an outlet to have our voice heard, whether it's proclaiming that we just had a buyer go under contract, whether it's something that's being sold, whether it's just listed. It gives us a voice that we can connect with clients to. Our clients, our past clients, our previous clients, our current clients, they all recognize it. So we spend a lot of time with social media. We develop, just specifically, it might be the first place that I have one of my past clients reach out to. They have my name, they have my number, they have my email, but they just might message me on Facebook. And I have to be ready to be responding back to that on top of it. So you can't just have it, and utilize it sometimes. It really has to be a consistent, monitoring and developing. It's a really free and easy tool to use as well. And connect with people like the community that you guys have built already is so beneficial. It's an easy archive for people. Information is so easily accessible for everything nowadays. There's no excuse for it. People are so more informed than they ever have been. And I think that's due to not only our internet, but also our social media. It also allows us to connect with our community. So if we're, say, for instance, we are going to a new restaurant that we're trying out, we here at Lou Realty Group love eating. So trying new restaurants is huge. In St. Louis is like, you can have any type of cuisine you want, and probably a block. So we like, if we're connecting with a local, a new eatery or a restaurant or whatnot, we'll be tagging them on all of our social media. We'll be showing up on their Instagram, on our Instagram, on our Facebook. So as far as Facebook to Instagram, both are equally important. Facebook and Instagram have a few different outlets, a few different analysis that you can kind of use. So on Facebook, you have a lot more. You can do video, you can do photo, you can do, just simple content. So with Facebook, really, we originate everything from there, and everything that we can use from Facebook goes to Instagram. So they kind of have the same, they do have the same content essentially, but they might be delivered in a different way.
And who manages that? Do you have a media person, a media coordinator, or do the individual agents and yourself post?
Yeah, so we do have a marketing coordinator here that helps develop content, but actually each one of our agents has access to them. So they can be posting their own content. They can be, like on Instagram, for instance, and Facebook has it now too, but stories, so kind of similar to Snapchat. We encourage everybody to utilize that during their day, real estate related or not. People are interested in other people's lives as it is, so we connect with our social media sites very intimately on a personal level too. People want to be doing business with other people that are doing business. So constantly being in front of your audience, in front of your crowd, in front of your followers, in front of your friends and your family, constantly being hit that you are doing real estate, you're talking about real estate, you're transacting real estate, you will be the first thing that they think of when they think of real estate. I always joke, like, I love real estate so much. It's my career and it's my hobby. But I think that every person that knows me knows I'm in real estate. And that is so important for business, especially in such a competitive industry that we're in.
Absolutely. Well, I saw you also had gotten 2,000 followers in a short 4 months. So can you tell us what your strategy was to get that kind of following? And by the way, was that in all social media or one particular platform?
Yeah, so just one particular platform. And so I've had my Lucy Feicht St. Louis Realtor Facebook page since I've been in the industry. So I've had it for like 6 years now, I guess. I wish I would tell you like your birthday on your realtor business page. So I, for a while, like not getting likes kind of happen, followers, things like that happen organically for us now. But prior to that, I would literally go through my friend list and just ask people to like it, ask people to like it, ask people to like it. And that was a part of my day to day, just marketing, advertising, boosting up, lead generating, etc. We still do that. I think there's some ways I think to request all, but I might like personally connect with somebody like, hey, would you please like my page? Or, in a certain, fun way, we'd request for that. We would post like statuses saying like tagging our pages and whatnot. So that came with very hard work. I'd like to say that just happened. Everybody was like, oh yeah, everybody just 2,000 followers in one day. I mean, people work really hard for their followers. So you have to be providing content that they want to hear about. You can't just ask for a like and then go away with it. So I remember I was at a part-time job I had, and I felt like, if I had some downtime or if I was eating lunch or something, requesting people to like through LinkedIn, through Facebook. I don't think Instagram was out at that point. But anywhere I turned, I put it on like everything I could. So that was very important to me because I knew that I could get people's attention there. And once I had their attention, I could tell how awesome I was going to be in real estate, and what awesome things that we were doing in lieu of that right now. So that had transpired to then having a landing page for our brokerage, going through to our Instagram. And really, like I said, now it's very organic for us. It feeds off of it. Most all of our agents have individual pages too, so that we can also, we like strive again to have like content already created. So if agents want to use whatever content is on the brokerage site, that's a free for all. So that's like more or less made up by the back end of the brokerage, but we hope that everybody participates in it, so that we can all, kind of be on the face of Blue Realty Group, what we're doing, what we're, whether it's playing or working, whatever it might be, in a tasteful way, of course. But
right. And I love that. And I think my background. I'm a lawyer, and I tend to be a little bit stiff. And then my twin sister Jan, she's a lot more like bearing of herself. And as a lawyer, even though I did real estate for 10 years, that was on a part-time basis. So I was more of a lawyer mentality. So I'm finding that people, just what you said, people are interested in your life. And I want to do kind of a day in the life, or at least a couple of hours in the life of me, so that you ladies and girls guide know what I do. And I think you may be surprised the way I dress, for example, if I don't have an appointment for the day. But anyway, so point well taken. So when you're talking about done for you content, is that something that you create or the marketing coordinator creates, or and what are the subject matters of the content?
Sure. So I as far as our marketing coordinator really has the full throttle with that. She can do whatever she wants with it. She's amazing. But she has like unbelievable content. But we all like want to be held responsible to contribute to that. Creating content's a full-time job for anybody, and making sure it's the right content. So we don't always just want to post like get your home ready for the market or spring season or winter season, how to winterize, things of that nature. We really try to make sure that our content is both real estate related and specific to just St. Louis. So whether there's like a good event going on, there's a new concert or a band. We have a lot of like summer activities here in St. Louis. We just have a lot of events, period, going all the time. So if it's something just very local level, whether it's we're highlighting like a new business, maybe it's a client of mine, maybe it's not, maybe it is somebody, a good friend of one of the agents that's doing something awesome. It can be really anything that, is helpful for both the community, to generate business, to connect with clients. It can be quite a few things. Naturally, of course, it's real estate related. But yeah, I was at an open house the other day, and I had somebody come through that said, "Hey, did you have that listing over in South City in the Hill area?" And I said, "I did." And she goes, "Oh, I recognize your guys' photos." And so just specifically something I do after all of my listings, I'll write cheers. So just cheers. And she said, I figured that was you because it's also on this listing. And she's like, "I love that. If my sister was a realtor, she would totally do that." So like our voice, we try to maintain throughout. So that's also important to us, whether it's like on social media, our website, out in the community, whatever it is.
Right. Excellent. And like I said, just the way you do things on Instagram in particular, I mean, you really show your personality. So ladies, I highly encourage you to not be afraid. And I'm talking to myself as well. Let your personality come out, because let's face it, people do want to do business with people who are fun and likable. And of course, we assume that, they want to do business with somebody that knows what they're doing. But add to that somebody who's fun to be with. It's a lot better than a robotic kind of stiff person. So don't be afraid to show your personality in that regard. I have to say, I was intrigued by what you had written about Pizza Box, that Lou Realty Group is known on every pizza box from one of your local vendors. So can you tell us about how that happened?
Yeah. So, and that I know it's, so we actually don't do the pizza box anymore, but we did, and that was really good. But yeah, so I can kind of tell you how that. So there was a local little pizza shop in one of our neighborhoods, and we for I think 6 months we bought the advertisement for. So like if you order a pizza, there's typically like a menu or something on the top of your box. Well, the Realty Group was all over that. So if you took a picture of it and sent it to us or posted it on social media, we bought you a pizza. So that was fun. That lasted.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So that, and I think that they had just done something different with their menus. I forget why we stopped, but it was about a year ago, I think, or so. But yeah, there's some advertising, some marketing that we do that we always have. And then when things like just get presented to us, or maybe, we're always, if anybody calls and wants to try to sell us something, we're like, "Oh yeah, no, we do have a minute. Tell us about it." Make sure that we're not missing opportunity if we find a fun way like that. Right now we've purchased I think they're called counter-made advertisements, but they're on the countertop. So like when you go to the grocery store and you check out, if like the place where you'd write a check. We have that advertisement in I think like 6 or 8 grocery stores. And I tell you what, it is like the most talked about advertisement that we do through everybody. I mean,
Really?
Yes.
That surprises me, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So what we put on there, isn't just like a logo and a tagline for like, something for us to connect. Like our faces are on it. It's a picture of us. You know, we're in front of like our building in our mural. We have a mural that's painted "Welcome to the Lou," and we take pictures in front of it every chance that we can get. But that is what the advertisement is. So it's literally our faces holding up sold signs with "Welcome to the Lou" and just literally our, I think our number and maybe our website. And that's it. And we get people that send us pictures of it all the time. One of our marketing coordinator in the office was at just the local one that she goes to, and she's taking a picture of it herself, and she's like, and the checkout consultant that was helping her was like, do you know somebody in that? And she said, I'm in it. She's like, that's me. And, she's like, I kid you not, at least 5 people a day are always getting out their phones, taking a picture of it. And she said, I'm excited to finally meet somebody that's on it. So that like, we knew was working. It's not always easy to monitor like your rate of return on these like very serious marketing advertising budgets that people have. But things like that, you know, we might not know if like somebody just calls us from it and just says, you know, how did you hear about us? And they're say, oh, I looked down and you were right there at Schnucks or Stop and Save. But our past clients that are connecting with it, that's how we know it's working.
Okay. Quick question, because I know we're running out of time already, but how did you get that opportunity? Is that because you know the owner of the chain, or is that something you found online? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I literally had somebody door knock trying to sell me the advertisement, and I'm like, absolutely, I'll take it. I'll take everyone you have. And he's like, oh, okay. You know, so I think it probably worked out for him, and I just like simply let him in the door. I think I might have ignored a few calls at first because I'm like, what is this? And then he came in and showed me. And then there's some local businesses that I have one. There's a local Italian restaurant real close to me, and every time I go in to eat there, he goes, as long as you're still buying that advertisement at Schnucks and Shop and Save is what the grocery stores are called, so am I. And I said, okay, so we share it. You know, like his advertisement's right next to mine. And I did it just like personally before I even had like a brokerage. So like I've had the advertising for like a fairly long time, but it kind of just slowly transitions into something more than that. So.
And one of our attendees here, Lori, said that she had done an ad on grocery carts years ago, and it definitely creates recognition. So that's super. Well, I want to get back to Facebook because we didn't address an issue that I know these ladies are curious about, and that is Facebook ads. Does Lou Realty Group do Facebook ads?
So we don't do many of them, but we have. So like we've promoted post, we've done a few Facebook ads, I think on different events that we're doing, but we don't have them a part of our budget. We just do them sporadically when something comes up. And agents I know too, there's some agents I think that might use ads more frequently on their own pages. I just personally don't. And the brokerage itself doesn't like do many of them. They might do like 5 a year and put like some money behind them and make sure that but I think it's important. I think that it's something to explore. When it comes to like spending money for us, like especially me specifically as an agent, I'm just very slow to spend and prepared to like learn from it. So I have to like really do my research before I like will put a bunch of money behind something. But they do, I know that people have had success with them. Luckily for us, we are creating like content that helps that's just kind of like works with our crowd right now. So we're just, I think, organically getting engaged with them.
And that's smart. That's smart to do it in a budget efficient way like that. Our group, a couple of people that are here with us today participate in our group coaching, and we're going to go a deep dive tomorrow and next week with experts. So I'm sure we're going to become much more knowledgeable in the whole world of Facebook and ads versus boosts and all that other kind of stuff. I wanted to ask you, and I know the answer, but I know Mabel just asked, how do you get clients? And I had asked you, Lucy, what are your 3 top ways of finding new business? And you said,
referrals, referrals, referrals.
Yes. So tell us.
Sure. So I would say 98% of my business is based upon referrals. Referrals is the bloodline for me specifically. You know, when it comes to like new business that the office generates and whatnot, a lot of that too really comes from like people connecting like through, you know, oh, I saw, you know, your post on Facebook or social media or whatever it is. We generate a lot of business from it, for sure, you know, whether it's just like a simple presence of it, or we're actually like lead generating from it. So we like really keep in contact with our clients as well. I'm sure for some of you, like the like 15 touches a year, you know, or whatever that's up to now. That's so important, is that you are constantly connecting with your clients, whether it's liking or commenting or congratulating them, getting involved in their activity on social media as well. We do like 2 annual client appreciations. When your clients know that you appreciate them, they love giving you business back. They love, giving you love back. Anytime that we have like a client maybe like going out of the country on vacation, or they're going just traveling or whatever it might be, we try to make sure we send them with like a koozie and a t-shirt, so that they can like send us a picture that says, we had some people that were on their honeymoon. We had some people recently, I think it was Mexico maybe. It just said like Lou Realty Group, sometimes the acronym or abbreviated LRG. So LRG and, St. Kitts or wherever they were. But that was kind of fun for everybody. We might do like a little blog post about what they were doing if they want to share it with us. We've done what's called At Home with Lou Realty Group. And this we kind of hope to make sure we're a little bit more consistent with. But we actually connect with past clients. If they've done like a kitchen renovation, or they've done a bathroom renovation or something of that sort, or we just want to highlight their home. It's not for sale. It's just at home with Lou Realty Group. And we have their house professionally photographed. And we do like a blog post by it and feature it on all of our our website, our social media, etc. They really like it because they kind of feel like their home is on stage, and that's fun. It's even, I think for some people are like, is this going to be for sale? Maybe it starts turning wheels for that person that says, maybe I should sell my house now. I just have it, I already have photographed, but yeah, so different like kind of tactics like that. Keeping in touch with your clients, making sure that you're showing up to things if you're invited to them, that you are constantly connecting with them is so important. But most importantly, ensure that you did a good job for them is most important. So all of my referral business is specifically from that. I ask for reviews. Ask. If you don't ask, people aren't going to do them. Do you guys ever sit on the phone after you're speaking with Charter or another communication system, and they're like, please hold on for a brief 30-second survey? Surveys are important, do them. But also reviews are so important to me. We have based like our business on reviews of good client reviews. Like you'll see my Zillow profile. I am making sure that I'm adding each sale if it's not publicly on there already. And I'm following up with my clients for those reviews. I'm asking people, to give whatever their experience was like with me. And it's a good way for people to refer to that. So like if I kind of have through Zillow just organically had people call me because of like the reviews they saw. So, you don't want to be an agent that has sold, 150 homes in that neighborhood, but don't have one review. You're naturally a good agent if you're selling 150 homes in the last 2 years in that specific neighborhood. People should be talking about it with you. So that is very important. That is like really keeps up with the referral business for us.
I do think that sometimes we're feeling like we're bothering them, and now the transaction's over, and oops, I forgot to remind them at the closing, and then you feel kind of, bad. But I think that's a mentality we just have to get rid of, because it's not just, like you say, it's not just self-gratifying for us to get the review. We want to make sure and follow up. Hey, did I do everything? Did I wow you? Is there anything I could have done better? So I love that you consistently do that.
Yeah, you bring up a good point too, because I think that's easy to happen, is that once a transaction is completed, then you ask for the review. So I started asking for the review 1 week prior to closing. So a lot of you guys might call it like escrow, or like when is it appropriate? So, I can't meet them for the first time and say, hey, what'd you think? We just said, hi, what do you think about me? But like after I've had a significant amount of time with them, especially during the transaction, and after what we have as loan commitment. So we have no more contingencies a part of our contract except closing. I then request it so that they don't forget about it. They still have closing to look at. They pretty much have done the whole transaction with me now. Now we're just waiting. It potentially is probably the best part of the transaction too. If there's a hiccup right before closing, nobody's going to have fun with that. But at that point, they kind of like, they're still wrapping up things with their transactions, versus once they're closed, once they're done, they have 1,000,001 things they want to be doing than writing a review about Lucy,
I love that timing. Yeah, that's good.
It's not, if I don't get one, I make sure within like 4 weeks, I'm resending the same exact email that just says like checking in with them, seeing how they're doing, reminding them that I'm wanting to review on Zillow or our Facebook or something that part. One of the 30 under 30s said it a really good way, that she's also, you know, thrives off reviews. But you feed me, I feed you type of thing. So, you know, she is very direct with asking for that review and does not let it go until she gets one.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent. That's very good. Now, you mentioned referrals is how you get 90% of your business. How about your new ladies coming on, someone fresh into real estate? What are you recommending her to do to find new business and find leads?
So I think the most important thing to be doing is asking for them, asking for the business. You know, I think it's not something that you have to keep pointing out or keep referring to as being a new agent. Well, you know, most of our what we have is new agents. They've bought and sold homes before. They've been a part of real estate transactions. Quite frankly, they've been a part of real estate maybe arguably their whole lives. You know, if they've moved 10 times, well, they've been a part of real estate. So we've kind of like really worked on redeveloping that question with like, how long have you been in the business? And you don't have to directly answer that question. It can be, well, actually, I've been around real estate for a very long time, you know, and going on from there. You know, new agents, we have, you know, we find, again, what's most important is social media. So starting to develop on that curve first. And I think it's probably something that you want me to touch on, but the branding for us, like Lou Realty Group, is very important. So one example being, okay, so like my friends and family will always joke, like I am always wearing something that says Lou Realty Group. It's a conversation starter. It is like it's like I'm having a name tag on all the time, and I don't have a name tag. I don't even own a name tag actually. But like one layer comes off and there's another Lou Realty Group. So like you can kind of see maybe, okay, so here's a vest.
Oh, right. Okay. Pretty.
Group. And this is funny because like I've been doing this since I've gotten the business, and I have clothes that don't fit me anymore, unfortunately. And my mom is a lot smaller than me, and so I give her my hand-me-downs of Lou Realty Group. So I contact her like, can we borrow that Lou Realty Group, whatever? And so like, say for instance, I got warm, you know, and took off my jacket. And
look at that.
Yeah, so that is like, I literally don't walk out of the house without it. I mean, I have like a dress I wear to formal weddings that have Blue Realty Group on it.
Where do you get them? Where do you, who does that for you?
Find whomever your like local. We use a place called Threads Embroidery. It's just an embroidery place. We have one of my clients the other day said like she had something like that at home. She could do all of our stuff. It cost me $4.50 as long as I'm bringing in 5 items, and each item is just branded with Lou Realty Group. So I will, if I hate shopping. I'm like not an avid shopper, but when I do, I'm literally going from like, you know, if I'm going to whatever it is, Old Navy or Gap or whatever, and then I go directly to Threads. It's like there's no in between. My husband bought me like a big North Face coat a few years ago, and it was already branded with Lou Realty Group. And then my sister-in-law got me a Lou, like everything that everybody just knows, you know. So it's kind of, and it has really became like a joke for a lot of us too. It's like, I don't have any Lou Realty Group gear. When am I going to get LRG gear? I had like a buddy of mine that I did like a golf shirt for. So it's just kind of, you know, it's fun. And it gets people excited about your brand too. So that I've like always have utilized. And you probably have seen some of my shoes that have Lou Realty Group on them.
Yes. And one of our ladies, Stacy, said, what do the shoes look like? You have to look for the...
Yes, and I meant to bring them for you guys. It's like a little too cold to be wearing my little shoes right now in St. Louis. But
little ballerinas, right?
Yeah, they're like little ballerina flats. Yeah. And they're like so cute. we had to like actually use a straightener to put that decal on. So it was like, we'll go to great lengths to get LRG on anything. If you come too close to us, we might start branding you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And do you pass along LRG gear to your clients? Because I think I saw on the Instagram, one of your friends or clients had an LRG hat, like a baseball cap.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Everybody that buys something gets something that says Lou Realty Group. So, but yeah, we have hats, we have bags, we have koozies, we have shirts, we have pens, we have keychains, we have candles, you know, we have coffee mugs. We have, here's a little, this is just like what I have day to day. So, we have pop sockets. These are fun. I would suggest these.
Yes. Yes, we're going to get those for Livy Brand. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, so we gave those away at like a little event we were doing, and we only brought like 50 with us. They're not like they're a little bit on the expensive side, but they're totally worth it. People love them. And I just sent 2 to my cousin in Texas. They, you know, they're like, can we have LRG pop sockets? I'm like, sure, I'll send those to you. But always plus you get a picture of it so you can use it for your own content.
I love it. And so do you use one vendor for those types of things?
Again, we're like a very cost conscious brokerage.
As we are too. So that's why I think it would be great to get any good advice.
Yeah. So we try to use anything local we can, but as you know, like printing and things of that nature are like always online, and sometimes just can't simply be beat. So like we've jumped around with like our t-shirts, our pop sockets is like a local rep here, that I'll put his contact information in the group.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so we kind of jump around. You know, there's not like one specific person. We've used Got Print a lot for like different, we've done like business cards can be done on there, but there's like just different things you can order. We hope this year we're going to get wrapping paper that says Lee Realty Group LRG.
Wow.
So that is from U Printing, I think. So yeah, anything I could put Lee Realty Group on.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's talk about time blocking. We have 10 minutes left. So that's one thing I definitely wanted to hit on. When I asked you, how in the heck do you manage all that you manage and still have all the fun that I see that you're having, right? So tell us how you manage your day. Do you kind of block time for doing different tasks throughout the day?
Yeah, so it's so important that if you are not on board with a time block now, get on board and covet your time block. This is something I'm still not great at. I'm like slowly but surely really trying to make sure that what a schedule is exactly that, a schedule, and you cannot deviate from it, no matter if there is an emergency that needs your attention right now. If someone is not facing the angel of death, I don't want to be off of my schedule, you know? That is so important. So time blocking, and I would do it by the 30 minutes. Okay. So like typically everything you do, and I've like been so strategic with this. I like timed how long it takes me to make a cup of coffee. You know, that I don't think you need to spend time doing. But,
wow. And how long does it take?
I think like 7 or 8 minutes or something.
Okay.
Like it heats up and then I put the cup down and then it pours and then I put my stuff in it. So, but I figured that like really everything takes about 30 minutes, you know. And if it's not taking 30 minutes, combine it with something to make it 30 minutes. So like in the morning, for instance, I'm an early riser. I like to be, in my perfect world, I'd be up at like 4:59 a.m. But I mean, I'm up by like 5, you know, or, and that's not every day. But Mondays are always difficult for everybody, right? But in a perfect world, I'd be up by 5 a.m. every morning. And for 30 minutes, I will read. So readers are leaders, in my opinion. Reading is so important for just self-improvement. I'm like a self-improvement junkie. So I would like constantly be reading something about self-development, but really structured time for reading. So for the first 30 minutes of my morning, I have a cup of coffee and I'm reading, whether it is like for business, I typically try to divide it in 2. So like business leisure. So like anything for self-development with real estate specific. And then I also have something maybe like faith-centered for me, like whether it's like scripture or like a morning devotional or something like that, like making sure your mind is in a state where you can start your day and easily consume knowledge and things and start your day. So starting my day with like peace and serenity, and just that 30 minutes is like I look forward to every morning. From there, it's hard for me to not get like on my emails at that point, because I could like quickly, like sometimes it's just like in the back of my mind, I'm like, just let me check my email for like 5 minutes and I promise I'll get off of it, you know? And then there I am, it's like 7 a.m. and I've responded back to like everybody's email. Everybody can see I was up at 4:59 responding back to like about an inspection or something. But so those first 30 minutes, and if it goes longer, great. You know, if it's 6 a.m. and I'm still like involved in whatever I'm doing at that point, like reading and I take like a lot of notes while I'm writing. So I feel like I'll always be a student my entire life. If I'm reading, I'm like taking notes and highlighting, making sure I'm like so fearful of forgetting it, I guess, but making sure that like I'm retaining what I'm learning, what I'm reading. So my morning will typically consist of that. I like to be at the office no later than 8 a.m. It's about an hour before anybody else gets here, so I can kind of get my own self positioned correctly. I can kind of do my checklist for things I need to do that day. If you're involved in a transaction, what you're doing might constantly be changing. So like a list being formulated in the morning, first thing, is super important to me, so that by the end of the day, I want everything checked off the list. And if it doesn't get checked off, either my day is not completed or it's going to the list tomorrow. So that is important to me. Once kind of 9 a.m. hits, the day is in full force. I generally try to keep like 9 to like even 11 or noon to be lead generating, making sure you're getting new clients, new business. And that's not just picking up the phone and cold calling for 4 hours. That is connecting with the client, making sure you're saying happy birthday to everybody on Facebook. And that's making sure that, you maybe tell so-and-so they looked great in the outfit they were wearing that last weekend, or, whatever it is, you're connecting with either past clients, new clients, previous clients, current clients. You're really like lead generating during that time frame. From then until really the end of the day, I am managing transactions. I am making sure that everything is on task. Their deadlines are being met, correspondence between people, from like 12 to maybe 4, is really, that can take somebody's whole day. So that in itself is, I have to make sure that I'm staying on top of the business that I already have. From there, if we're, showing property or going on appointments, I try to schedule it, thereafter, maybe from like 3 to 5, something of that effect. And typically I'm ending my day and starting my day brainstorming for the Realty Group. So what are new things that we can be doing? What are things that I want to implement? What are things that we all want to connect on or collaborate with? So I am trying to start creatively thinking, critically thinking, then wind back up with creatively thinking. So that throughout the whole day, I am really on like a 24-hour mindset of real estate. But I have an amazing, amazing husband that reminds me that life is not all about real estate. He too is in real estate. So it's easy for us to get sidetracked with that. But I really am focusing this year on real estate cuts off for me at some point, from like 7 or 8 o'clock on. I don't have children yet, but I do have a life outside of that. Now I'm still always talking about real estate. It's probably maybe something fun I'm doing, but that I am at least letting go of my phone, of my emails, of my text messages, etc. at some point during the day, and giving my sole focus, my attention on whomever I might be with, whether that, is my husband, whether that's like with a group of friends or with family or whatnot. You can lose your mind, you can lose yourself in things that don't pertain to maybe like what you're doing full time. So that is important to schedule into your day, is you time.
Right. And how about exercise? And see, I've been saying I'm going to exercise now for a year plus, and I just, my day comes and goes, and I have every good intention, but just as you said, I love to strategize. I love being creative. That's so much fun for me. I could do that 24/7, and I kind of sort of do. So it's hard for me to fit in exercise. So you're young enough to be my daughter. So I'm looking to you to say, do you exercise, and how do you fit it in?
Oh gosh, I feel like I'm going to disappoint you. I don't do a structured exercise. So in a past life, I was a Rams cheerleader, and exercise had to be a part of our day. But I think I've become probably obsessed is a good word. Obsessed with my work and business, that exercising my mind was more important to me than exercising my body. And that's not a good thing. But so I have kind of once our weather warms up a little bit here, like my husband and I love to walk together. So we'll be walking around our neighborhood more regularly. We have the most adorable Rottweiler. And he loves to walk too. He's at the office right now and he could probably hear me say walk and he's already getting his leash. So having that companion is fun, and that gets me out exercising. I have an Apple Watch that not only keeps me efficient, but it also tracks exercise. So my intent with that Apple Watch was twofold. I did want to be able to stay on top of being something efficient with work, but also making sure I'm conscious of exercising. I think that exercise just needs to be incorporated in your day, whether it's just 30 minutes walking, whether that is in the middle of the day. I literally got up and started doing jumping jacks, and my mom was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I have to start exercising." And she's like, "I guess this is one way to do it." But yeah, whatever it might be, if you're not structuring an hour of gym time, or if you're going to some class, I think that's a good way to network with it, you know? So I think that for me, it just has to be like, I have to be productive in doing something. So like I will, when I'm on the treadmill, for instance, I will be reading like something real estate related. So when I was way more into exercise when I was first part of this business than I am now. But when I was learning the business, I would get on the treadmill for 45 minutes. That could be walking, that could be running, that could be a mixture of both. And I was reading through contracts, just blank ones, so that I understood what a contract was. And that was like something I did for months. And just because, you know, I might know contracts like the back of my hand now, I always suggest it to people. I'm like, take it on an iPad or print it out and go on the treadmill and knock out 2 birds with 1 stone and read through a contract. Because if you don't know contracts, you can't start practicing real estate yet. So
I love that. I love that. Very good. I do have 2 more questions. If you have like 5 minutes, we're going to go over a few minutes if you're good. Or do you have the time?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. First one is CRM. Now, you mentioned that you use iCloud. I don't know if that's the name of it or if that's a descriptor, but I'm curious with what you do with your contacts and if in the nature of systems and the back office that you mentioned, do you have a specific schedule that you follow as far as reach out to those clients?
So CRM is a touchy situation for me because CRMs, there's so many out there. And I don't know if I haven't given all of them the appropriate time, but they all don't do exactly what I want. So when I say iCloud, I mean like if you operate on an Apple, the iCloud. So the whole office almost operates on an Apple product, and I don't work for Apple by any means. And I've had an iPhone since like the start of my business. I operate on an iMac. I have a laptop that's, you know, a MacBook or something. And the marketing coordinator, the office admin, my mom has a Mac, you know, I mean, everything is kind of like for me, an iCloud based system. So this is like not a system that is even a system that just kind of like organically developed for me through utilizing these. So like if I'm on my computer, for instance, I can pull up my notes. I can pull up all of my contacts. I can pull up my messages. I can be texting on my computer. So when I have, and so like my calendar, my reminders, my notes, my messages, they're all integrated in any device that I'm on. So for instance, the one thing that I felt like a CRM system lacked is that like I needed to be able to be on it in every setting. So like, and I know you can on most of those, but I didn't just want an app. Like this iCloud system I'm referring to is in every system. So like for instance, I do have, I think one of the questions was, do I have a transaction coordinator? And the answer is not really, kind of. And that's something that we hope to like kind of develop as like with our group is something in-house. But so somebody that maybe I'm helping with somebody with the deal or vice versa will share a note. So they'll have notes about the note updates frequently. So if they're on their own device, I'm on mine, and I'm saying, spoke with Judy at 1:30 on February 13th or something. That is noted in their note as well. That's noted on mine. When something goes under contract, it is filtered into all of our calendar reminders. So I know loan commitment, I know closing, I know et cetera. When I have reminders for new clients, I'll have them on my reminders list app, so that every 4 weeks I'm checking in with them if they're not under contract yet. If I'm still like, you know, different it's very involved for 5 minutes, but I gotcha. It's a free system. So that in itself is like incredible, is that I paid for a program for a full year and never logged onto it once. And you can imagine how bad that hurt me, that I was paying for this system I wasn't using. But I know that like eventually that we need to probably have something more integrated, that, you know, somebody doesn't use Apple, just kind of so happens that way that everybody does right now. But there's been a few that I've used Top Producer before. I think that works well. But again, it just some things that, you know, I don't want to be, my point is I don't want to start a system and find something different. I don't want to relearn a system like every 2 years or something. So iCloud has been with me since the start of this business. And I think I have, let me, for instance, on notes, I think I have over 7,000 notes on my iCloud notes on my, you know, on my Apple device. So that just tells you like the notes is like literally a notebook that's virtual for me that I can reference anything that I need to. I just key search, you know, if it was pertaining to a specific property, a specific client, I bring up their name, everything about them pulls up in my notes. So it's really efficient in itself. And for right now, that's what works for me.
Okay, excellent. And that's what they say when people say, what's the best CRM? And the answer often is whatever you're going to use. You know, whatever works for you in the way of keeping track of everything and knowing what's next. Okay, the last question is, you said, Judy, make sure you talk to me about the home buyer journal.
Oh, yeah. So one of your questions was, do you have a certain, or one of the questions that you mentioned that we want to make sure we touch on was, do I have like a certain way I take clients through like a transaction? So like, yes, the answer is yes. So very systematic as well. So when I meet a new client, whether it's a buyer or a seller or an investor, we are going through a consultation. So a buyer consultation, for instance, I will meet with them. They typically take about an hour. And I generally bring my buyers to my office so they can see it, so that they can be here. They can kind of like, they immediately, I've never met anybody that didn't like the office. But they come to our office and we go over what they're looking for. We go over the contract and we go over the buyer's agency, so that I am typically leaving with a client, not still a prospect or a lead. What I had struck with the buyer's journal I was mentioning was something that we spent a lot of time developing, and we utilize. Whether or not our clients utilize it, I think some do, some don't. But at least they're leaving with something. And I'm going to show you it really quick.
Oh, great. Excellent.
So this is our home buyer's journal. And when they leave a consultation, they leave with it. And in the front page, it says my realtor, my mortgage. And this whole thing is branded with us. You can kind of like, these two things look the same, don't they?
Yep, they are. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
So in the back of this home buyer journal, so we work a lot with first-time home buyers. And so this can all feel like foreign, just a foreign language to them. And on average, people are going through a transaction like 3 to 5 times in their life. So not just first-time home buyers can benefit from this, but in the back of it's a glossary. So it states like what earnest money is, what an appraisal is, what is, just like a ton of contract terms. This people like, they can kind of go back to and say, oh, it's a good learning tool. And it holds them accountable. It holds your buyers accountable to learn through this process. It has different quotes that we like in the middle, resources. It has, like, most importantly, just like notes that they can make. So it has like the MLS number, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms.
Oh, nice.
Just blank sheets, notes, and reminders. I've had a few clients, like, if they forget this, they'll be like, go to the car and get the home buyer journal. And some people, I never see it again. They probably threw it in the trash, but that's okay because they leave with this. And we took a lot of time to create this. And it's just another tool and content that we can provide to them, that again, kind of commits them to working with us.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And is that something you created in-house, or do you get that done outside?
Yeah, well, you know what? We created it in-house, but we ordered it through a company called All Things Real Estate. And if you
right.
haven't heard of them, I suggest you check them out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like, they have so many things you can order.
Yeah. They have all things real estate. It's amazing. Yeah. All right. Well, Lucy, listen, on behalf of all the ladies that are here and all the ones that are going to be listening on the recording, thank you so much for your time. We so appreciate it. And I feel like I could go another hour, but thank you so much for your time and all of your wisdom.
It was so nice to meet everybody. And if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. And have a good day.
Awesome. Thanks, Lucy, again. Take good care, ladies. Bye-bye.